In ancient times, when monsters repeatedly attacked the village, there was a yin and yang master riding a dragon, who used their powers to defeat the creatures, but on a fateful night, he was betrayed by cunning adversaries. Moreover, he was also accused of opposing the emperor. Everything was lost due to that insatiable thirst for meaningless fame. So, he used his magic to end his life, hoping for a new start in another world. He was reincarnated as the third son of the Lamprogu family and named Seika. His adoptive father is testing his magical strength, but to his surprise, he has no magical powers in this world. However, Seika feels it's not a problem, because he still has the abilities of a yin and yang master within him. He takes a handful of leaves to test if his powers are still effective, and luckily they were. His elder brother Gray still enjoys showing off, so Seika teaches him a lesson for bullying. When Seika was 7 years old, he started cutting human-shaped talismans. Later, his two older brothers went to study more magical power, and he requested his adoptive father to let him join. There, the two brothers displayed their magic skills excellently. Hitting the target stones accurately, Gray teased him, so Seika used some of his power to attack the stone, leaving them in awe. Seika asked his adoptive father to learn magic, but he told Seika couldn't become a wizard, without inherent magical power. Hearing that, he controlled his magic and followed them to observe their magical training. As time swiftly passed, Seika turned 11 years old. He used his talismans to open a portal to the spirit realm, and called for his disciple named Yuki. She immediately ran towards him, because she hadn't seen him for a long time. Seika explained that he just wanted to test his powers, so he reluctantly sent her back to the spirit realm. Yuki, not wanting to return, transformed into a small fox. At this point, Seika befriended Yifa and used his talisman to save a rabbit. He noticed that Yifa possessed a spiritual power that normal people couldn't perceive. Seika thought he needed an ally in this world, and proceeded to teach Yifa how to use magic. One day, a wild creature ran in a panic to their house. Seika saw that the maid and Yifa were threatened, so he rushed to their rescue. Yifa managed to use her power to defend against the attack. Seika then unleashed his magic and defeated the creature easily. Impressed by Seika's victory, his adoptive father wanted to reward him. Seika expressed his desire to study magic at the Rodnia Academy, and his father recognized the potential, so he accepted. However, Seika wanted to bring Yifa along, so she had to demonstrate her magical prowess to accompany him. Yifa showcased an intermediate magic spell that surprised everyone. However, Seika's elder brother didn't accept this, so they engaged in a duel to determine who would get the opportunity to attend the academy. Gray used his intermediate magic to burn Seika, but it seems like he's still pretty weak. Gray launched continuous attacks, but Seika created a barrier to block them. He gently took out the human-shaped talisman and chanted the spell, and immobilized Gray's movements. He then gently twisted Gray's arm, causing him pain but not breaking it. Gray surrendered and the match was over. The next day, Seika and Yifa set off for the imperial capital. After a while, Seika succumbed to motion sickness, and looking at the imperial capital as they get there, they arrived at their dwelling, and Yifa wanted to stay with Seika as she had become his servant. However, Seika was indifferent to such matters and declined her request. Yuki was angered by this, as Yifa didn't understand her place and dared to entice Seika to share a bed. However, Seika paid little attention to the issue. They arrived at the enrollment location for the academy, and had to place their hands on a device to measure their magic attributes. When Yifa placed her hand, it showed attributes of fire and wind, but when Seika did, it showed no magical attribute at all. A girl named Amiu came and had 4 magical attributes. Seika thought of befriending her, but received a flat refusal. The next day they had the entrance practical test, where they had to demonstrate their magic by hitting a target. Yifa showcased her intermediate fire and wind attributes, earning admiration from everyone and moving Seika to tears. When it was Seika's turn, he used magic such as green fire, metal, and ice explosions, astonishing his teacher, who had never seen such magic before. Besides Seika and Yifa's exceptional abilities, there was Amiu, making this year's students particularly remarkable. After the competition, they ranked in the top 3. On the first day of classes, Yifa felt a bit shy due to her short dress, while Seika noticed many dark spirits in the nearby forest. He ventured into the forest and discovered a magical trap. Sensing something amiss, he released a talisman to monitor the situation. During their first buffet party after days of exhaustion, monsters attacked the event. The novice mages tried using their magic against the creatures, but it only seemed to irritate them. Amiu bravely attacked to protect them, and Seika used his magic to survey the forest, and spotted a creature controlling the situation. He approached the creature, mentioning he wanted some entertainment after being inactive for a while. The creature accepted the offer, and sent 3 buffalo-like creatures to attack. Seika skillfully defeated 2 of them, while the third was banished to the spirit realm. The creature sensed that Seika had some skills, so it began to attack more seriously. Seika used his talisman figures to attack, but direct assaults didn't seem effective. When the creature counterattacked, its moves were ruthless, aiming to finish Seika quickly. The creature thought it had successfully defeated Seika, but to its surprise, Seika revived and used his talisman figures to deflect the fatal blows. The creature claimed it could fight until Seika exhausted all his talismans. Impressed by the creature's determination, Seika used water magic to attack, followed by a direct lightning strike. Surprisingly, the creature managed to stab Seika from behind. Even more surprisingly, Seika used his talisman figure to block the attack. The creature mentioned it could keep fighting until Seika ran out of talisman figures. Seeing the creature's determination, Seika summoned the Mizuchi dragon to devour it. The dragon hadn't been released for a long time, so it refused to return to the spirit realm. Seika lured it and locked it away, as his current body wasn't strong enough to control it. Seika wanted to befriend Amiu to achieve his ultimate goal. However, it seemed challenging to get close to her. While walking with Yifa, they were suddenly hit by a splash of water. Seika quickly used his talisman figure to shield them, only to realize it was accidentally caused by Master Cordell. After the first day of classes, the teacher asked the two top-performing students, Seika and Amiu, to assist with the opening ceremony. While on their way, Seika tried to use his social skills to befriend Amiu, but before he could make a move, they fell into a magic trap. Inside the trap, they encountered monsters, and Amiu swiftly attacked and defeated them. Seika assisted her, using his talismans to light their way. However, they were again ambushed by monster hordes. Amiu and Seika fought back, but unfortunately Amiu fainted from the attack. Seizing the opportunity, Seika summoned his giant beetle, and quickly eliminated the remaining monsters. He used his talisman to heal Amiu's injuries. Amiu still experienced headaches, so Seika suspected a curse and established a barrier. He suggested Amiu undress for a more thorough examination, but upon inspection, he did not discern anything unusual, and he said it would be better to check by touching the body, because curses aren't visible to the naked eye. Amiu felt that he was truly creepy, so she didn't allow him, stating that Seika already had Yifa as a servant, and wondered why he was so persistent in approaching her. He said only liked people with character like Amiu, so she punched him. They continued to fight side by side to escape the trap. To get out of here they must defeat the final boss, a snake-like creature. Seika used his magic to attack the snake, impaling it with metal spikes and then sealing it. Amiu used fire magic to burn it and delivered the finishing blow. The rewards received were a sword and a ring. Seika and Amiu emerged victorious, shared the tale with their teacher. Seika decided to confront Master Cordell to expose his true intentions. Since the plan was discovered, Cordell revealed his actual plan. He had used the blood of a monster in a flask to create a curse. Anyone cursed with this monster's blood would be damned to death. Fearing that his plan was compromised, Cordell planned to kill Seika to eliminate any leads. However, Seika pointed out that Cordell was weak in creating the curse, because Seika's past life was an accomplished spirit master. He reflected the curse back at Cordell, incapacitating him. 2 years had passed since that incident, and the trio had gradually adapted to life in the academy. Suddenly, the headmaster summoned Seika and Yifa to his office, discussing a mixed martial arts tournament in the imperial capital, and the school chose a representative named Mabel to participate alongside Seika. Upon hearing that she wasn't included in the tournament, Amiu felt a bit down. They were discussing their performance in the tournament. Amiu wondered why Mabel was chosen, and Mabel overheard. She thinks Amiu is weak but likes to show off, making Amiu feel extremely embarrassed. She quickly borrowed 2 swords, and they had a friendly sparring session. When the match started, Amiu attacked first, and although their skills were evenly matched, but Mabel had used a bit of her magic on her sword to defeat Amiu. Mabel then signaled Seika to focus on the tournament, as the match was tougher than they thought. Sometime later, they embarked on their journey to the imperial capital, but Yifa and Amiu insisted on accompanying them. Yifa, as Seika's servant, and Amiu, fueled by envy towards Mabel, were determined to join. Seika still struggles with motion sickness, because he cannot ride a horse. The 3 of them were severely criticized by Mabel for their decision to follow. Upon arrival, they checked their registration information. Yifa offered to accompany Seika to their lodging, but he declined and chose to rest alone. The mixed martial arts tournament began. The loser is someone who cannot continue the fight, or will be eliminated from the arena. Seika's first match was against Dennis, a mercenary referred to as Mad Dog, specializing in pure swordsmanship. Dennis underestimated Seika, assuming him to be weak due to his privileged background. Seika claimed to be tired and wanted to end the fight quickly. Dennis rushed forward to strike him, but it was just a human-shaped charm. Seika fired a shot at Dennis, sending his opponent flying away, and won the first match. The second match was between Bellin and Kyle. As the fight began, Bellin was immediately immobilized by Kyle. Kyle effortlessly approached and dealt a swift strike, revealing a cold demeanor. Seika noticed that Kyle was also using magic against the opponent with a sharp gaze. Next was the match between Little Mabel and the sorcerer Hao. He initiated the attack by throwing rocks at her, but Mabel effortlessly blocked those attacks. Hao planned to use advanced spells for an offensive, but he needed time to summon, so he created walls to buy that time. Mabel continuously attacked his barriers, and then swiftly cut off the head of his magic staff, forcing Hao to surrender. The tournament continued to determine the finalists. Kyle advanced to the next round, using his sinister gaze to secure victory. A young knight named Rei Naz, proficient in 4 attributes, also secured a resplendent victory. Seika's next opponent was a summoner, but he wasn't a match for him. Mabel urges Seika to give up the match because she doesn't want to face him, but Seika was very intrigued and determined to follow the match until the end. The semifinal match began with Rei Naz and Kyle. Knowing Kyle's tactics, Rei Naz employed a power that blanketed his sight, preventing Kyle from using his dark arts. He attacked opponent, but it didn't prove effective, so he summoned an army of stone soldiers to attack. Kyle used dark magic to clear out the enemies. Rei Naz tried to attack by charging forward but was stopped, and Kyle planned a final blow to the head, but the referee intervened and ending the match. Seika was pondering about the upcoming battle, when Yuki transformed back into a human and sought warmth from him. However, fate intervened as Mabel came to inquire about his well-being, leading to a gentle night encounter. This turn of events left Yuki disheartened, as Seika prioritized conversing with Mabel over sleeping and spending time with her. Here, the two of them engaged in a conversation. Mabel wanted to break a few of Seika's ribs, to prevent him from participating in the match the next day. She claimed to be trained by a guild that specialized in training children to become assassins, and among the 4 of them trained, one had to kill the other 3 to become an official mercenary. Kyle, Mabel's older brother, was one of the 4 and went through the same training, so she had to fight him in this match, knowing that eventually she would have to die at her brother's hands. Seika, upon hearing this, decided to join the fight to save Mabel. However, she was determined to win the match, so they scheduled the match for tomorrow. The final round had begun. Mabel brought out her secret weapon to fight Seika. She quickly dashed in to strike him, using continuous attacks in a flash. He then used a bit of his magic to counterattack, but it didn't seem very effective. Seika released a charm making Mabel's weapon 1,000 times heavier, and used a mercury rope to restrain her. Next, he pressed her weapon against her neck, securing victory in the final match. In the last round of the finals, Seika and Kyle faced off. Without much explanation, Seika initiated the attack, enveloping the area in a smokescreen to conceal their movements. He struck at Kyle, but it seemed ineffective. He had to end it swiftly by summoning a minotaur demon to engage Kyle in a solo battle. The monster swiftly slapped the little guy, rendering him unconscious on the spot. After being defeated, Kyle fell under the influence of the ancestral curse. Despite Seika attempting to create a barrier to seal it, but he still couldn't save Kyle in time. Seika attempted to use his resurrection skill to save him, but Yuki intervened and stopped it. She explains that this reincarnation is to hide Seika's true power, and using this ultimate magic would reveal it to everyone. Understanding this, Seika recalled the purpose of his reincarnation, and halted the spell to let Kyle rest. He then led Mabel and everyone back to the academy. Seika had an urgent task, and had to go to the Astria Kingdom to investigate the dragon in his father's place. Amiu and Mabel wanted to join, but he declined. However, Yifa was allowed to accompany him. Prince Cecilio also visited their school. While engrossed in talking to Seika, the prince noticed the beautiful girl Yifa. Then came the formal greeting to the nobility with her, even expressing interest in marrying her right away. Yifa stated that she already has a master and cannot comply. Due to the prince's excessive infatuation and lust, they had a private conversation. The prince seeks Seika's help to investigate the dragon in his kingdom. In recent years, it has terrorized villages, despite the kingdom's previous efforts to protect the people. So Seika and Yifa set off on their journey to the Astria Kingdom. As they stepped down and took a breath, the dragon flew by with intentions to attack them. A summoner appeared and summoned a tiger to attack the dragon. When the tiger turned and saw Yifa, it immediately lunged at her. Seika quickly used his magic to restrain the tiger, and considered eliminating it, but the summoner intervened, recalling his pet and introducing himself as a mercenary, hired to deal with the dragon. However, Seika believed that the dragon wouldn't attack villages, and wanted to investigate further. In the evening, Yifa came to Seika's room to ask a few questions. When the prince made an inappropriate gesture, hinting at inviting her into his room, It made her very scared, so Seika invited Yifa to share his room, where he asked if she wanted to enter the palace in the harem, suspecting she might be interested in the prince. To surprise, Yifa only wanted to be with Seika, and leaving her emotionally hurt due to the misunderstanding of her feelings. The next day, Seika met the prince and clarified his perspective on Yifa, putting the prince at ease. Knowing he had a chance to win her over, Seika then began his journey up the mountain, while Yifa stayed behind in the kingdom to rest. The prince's bodyguard revealed to Yifa the secret that Seika was a monster, and the elemental beings dared not approach him. She was warned to stay away from him to avoid harm. Meanwhile, Seika had arrived at the dragon's location. The dragon immediately attacked to protect its eggs. Seika summoned a massive creature to pin it down and used magic to create a net to restrain it. With the dragon subdued, he examined the eggs and carefully rearranged them to facilitate hatching. Seika used his magic to create a fire to warm the eggs. The mother dragon trusted him and went to sleep, while he took care of the eggs. When he wanted to leave, the dragon wouldn't allow it. On the other hand, Yifa was escorted to visit the palace's harem, where women were trained extensively to serve the royal family. The prince was preparing to negotiate the purchase of Yifa, and a merchant recognized her as an exceptional commodity. However, Yifa didn't want to live in the harem. She only wished to serve Seika, but the prince's soldiers forced Yifa into the royal harem, so they captured Yifa and coerced her into signing. Fortunately, Seika returned to the kingdom in time, breaking the siege and rescuing Yifa from the forced situation. He then led her away to keep the dragon egg warm. Yifa was overjoyed to be close to Seika again. The dragon carried them to where its eggs were, but a summoner used a creature to attack Seika. He managed to restrain it with his magic, realizing that this group of summoners had malicious intentions towards the dragon eggs. Seika had vowed to turn the offending tiger into ashes for daring to attack Yifa, and fate has its own plans. When the tiger will end today, the summoners were terrified and tried to run away, but they couldn't escape Seika. He swiftly caught and incinerated the book in the summoner's hand. He then took them all back to the kingdom and reported the incident to the prince. Unfortunately, the prince was more interested in personal gain and women, refusing to let the dragon stay in the kingdom. Seika disapproved of the prince's behavior and was captured again. The prince wanted to take Yifa for himself, so Seika scolded him and said that he would not allow anyone to have Yifa. The bodyguard intervened and mediated, advising the prince to respect himself. Eventually, they were allowed to return to their academy. At this point, Yifa had learned many new spiritual skills, and desperately wanted to confess her feelings but feared Seika's rejection. A looming danger approached them, as the group of vampire creatures advanced towards the empire, ruthlessly killing and seeking a formidable hero to eliminate the threat from their vampire clan. At the Magic Academy, Seika extended an invitation to Amiu and Mabel to visit his home, because Princess Fiona wanted to meet them all. He led everyone to meet his family, but then fate took its course. An old enemy arrived, and Gray wanted to challenge Seika to avenge past grievances. However, Amiu, feeling annoyed, stepped in to fight on his behalf. The friendly match began, with Amiu having the upper hand against Gray. Feeling unable to compete, he resorted to deceitful tactics and threatened Amiu to secure victory. He then challenged Seika to a duel, but the timely arrival of Princess Fiona causes Gray to put the matter aside. They warmly welcomed Princess Fiona, and shared an intimate meal, recounting their stories. The next day, the two brothers and Amiu accompanied the princess on a tour, to learn more about the daily lives of the people. During their outing, a construction scaffold collapsed, prompting Gray and Amiu to rescue the princess. But Seika disappointed the princess by not using his magic to protect her. Wanting to apologize to the princess, he bought a hair tie and gave it to her as a gift. On the following day, Princess Fiona had to return to the capital, and the group prepared to leave. But Mabel didn't want to move at all, when she can be lazy and sleep all day here. Afterwards, Seika along with his brother Gray and everyone else escorted the princess. Along the way, Seika continued to experience motion sickness, but he noticed a group of bandits waiting for them. Seika stood on top of the carriage, and used his magic to block their attacks. The bandit leader ordered his underlings to attack the carriage where Seika was standing. Gray also directed his soldiers to counterattack. The princess requested to capture them alive, so Seika used his magic to apprehend all of them. The demon clan continued their relentless journey towards the capital, their determination to eliminate the hero unwavering. However, the captain of the group couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. As they attacked the hero from inside, they encountered a thick blanket of fog shrouding the surroundings. Upon entering, the buffalo saw the two approaching figures and attacked. However, the rabbit and the girl with the power of darkness did not see anyone. A red monster sensed Mabel's attack, and they engaged in a gentle battle. Despite Mabel's efforts, she proved to be no match. The monster flew up and swung the stick, but luckily Seika's humanoid talisman was left behind to save Mabel. The demon clan members regrouped, sensing the unusual atmosphere, when they attack the decoy and see human-shaped talismans. A moment later Seika appeared and it was then that they realized they had fallen into a trap. The red creature tried to attack, falling victim to a deadly trap set by Seika. Next, the demon girl with malevolent powers used her strength against Seika, but he summoned a serpent with powers stronger than hers, causing her to succumb to a heart attack. The demon rabbit summoned its beast, but just an exchange of glances led to its demise. The demon rabbit thinks he is a master tamer, and tried to tame the serpent, only to face certain death. The group's captain gradually realized that Seika was the Demon King. He ordered the buffalo to return and report to their demon clan, while he decided to confront Seika to stall for time. Seika unleashed a magical skill to attack his opponent, and despite the latter's efforts to defend, they couldn't withstand the immense power. Meanwhile, the buffalo managed to escape the capital, but was still struck by the attack and seriously injured. He tried to transmit information back to the demon clan, but succumbed to the curse Seika had placed on him. While the group was celebrating at the academy, preparing for the upcoming new school year's opening ceremony, the royal squad arrived and arrested Amiu, accusing her of killing special envoy from the demon territory who had visited the academy. Amiu was clueless about this, as Seika had already dealt with the envoy and his group. Consequently, Amiu was taken away. Seika reported the incident to the headmistress, about the Empire's intentions to eliminate Amiu. As she was the hero the demon clan sought, he wanted to secretly rescue Amiu, and summoning his dragon, despite Yuki's attempts to interfere due to Seika's ulterior motives, but he didn't want to see his close friend die innocently. He disregarded everything to rescue Amiu. Seika used his charms to locate Amiu's position in captivity. He went into the holding area, but the royal soldiers tried to obstruct him. Although he didn't want to harm them, they persisted in hindering him from rescuing Amiu. Reluctantly, he had to counterattack and incinerate them, summoning a powerful assassin beast to assault them. In the blink of an eye, all the soldiers were eradicated. Seika bravely entered the prison to rescue Amiu. However, Amiu was concerned for him, fearing that the Empire would target Seika's family. She urged him to leave, assuring him that she would soon be released. Seika felt compelled to reveal Amiu's true identity as a hero, and the target of the demon race as her potential threat. At that moment, Seika's brother and the princess arrived. The princess was aware of her prophecy, and implored Seika to cooperate, considering the implications for the Empire's prosperity. When he embraced the valiant Amiu in his arms, she who had never experienced such peril, lacked the ultimate combat ability to stand against the enemies, and the only way is to follow the Ghost Clan's words to keep everything peaceful. The princess hoped he would comply with that request, and she promised to ensure Amiu's swift return to the academy with him. Seika learned from the bitter experience of his previous life. He was deeply hurt, therefore, in this life he found it difficult to trust anyone and decided to take Amiu away. The princess understood his inner struggle, so she provided transportation and supplies for their journey. To show his gratitude to the princess, he corrected his mistake by reversing time and restoring it to its original state. The two set off on a new adventure, with Seika anxiously thinking about Mabel and Yifa, imagining they must be missing him. After a long journey across different places, finally the four of them had the chance to meet again. The video ends here for today. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel to support Chiri in the upcoming videos. Thank you for watching.